All right, this meeting is now live. So I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Let's give it another minute, then Gabby can gavel us in. Is there an echo by chance? All right, Cece, when I talk, you just have to mute yourself. Cool. All right, yeah, Gabby, we'll give it a minute. Then whenever it feels like the right moment to start, go for it. Just feel it out.
Okay, it feels right. I now call this meeting to order.
We wish to acknowledge that the University of Virginia sits on the homeland of the Monacan Nation, whose members remain a vital part of the local community, and that UVA's original structures were built and maintained by enslaved people. We further wish to acknowledge the history of violence, displacement, and racism that led to UVA's establishment and maintenance. It's important for us as the university community to reflect and address the complicated past and present of our university during our time here as students. Special thanks to the Native American Student Union at UVA and Multicultural Student Services and helping to write this land and enslaved people acknowledgement.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is April Liu. I use he and pronouns, and I'm serving as president of Student Council for about another month and a half, 2 months. But if this is your first Gen Bod, the exec board is just going to introduce themselves and give a quick round of updates on what they're working on this week. On my end, I'll start with the University Networks of Care project, or UNOC, which is a proposed police-free crisis intervention program. One of the policy design blocks led by myself, Donovan Lee from BSA, and Holly Sims, our wonderful chief of cabinet and a leader within Housing and Residence Life, are working on a hiring proposal for paid consultants to help us with policy design. And we've also finalized this $18 per hour paid intern role within UNOC. So I've just dropped that PDF in the chat, but reps, anyone who may have relevant lived experiences or commitments that could make them a strong fit for a research internship around reducing the role of police in mental health crises and nonviolent crisis on grounds. I especially encourage you to check out that hiring doc I just dropped in the chat. Text me. I know I've heard from a couple of you, and I'll get back to you in the next day or two. But this is a 5 to 10 hour a week role, $18 a week, an hour once again, with an expected average of about 150 hours to be worked between now and June 2022. So in total, that's about $2,700 in compensation for your work on UNOC. So definitely check it out. I have a meeting with VP Hadley tomorrow. She's the Vice President for Student Affairs. And the two things I plan to focus on are first, finalizing the support and access services partnership with Student Affairs, and walking her through a proposal that Adrian and I will be working to finish really on an ASAP basis, and then finalizing her Student Affairs endorsement for the UNOC program, because they are really the only holdouts at this point. We have UPD, the Equity Center, and several units within Student Affairs on board, but there are a few folks who are still unsure of the program within their division. So we're looking for a division-wide endorsement to unlock the funding that we've put up in the most recent rep body approved budget, which I guess is pending approval based on tonight's vote. The first, oh, sorry, please go back. Wrong direction. Okay. The first student affairs strategic planning meeting is also taking place this week. That's led by Dr. Toya Corbett, who's an associate vice president within student affairs, and is leading a strategic planning effort for the division. That meeting is on Thursday for about an hour, and the strategic planning process will run through the summer, but that's very exciting. I'm also going to be welcoming some student affairs staff to UVA on Friday by talking to them about what I think about student self-governance. So, you know, student affairs has been hiring a lot of new people, and it will be good to fill them in on this very important tradition at our university that we all love so dearly. Finally, I'm going to be talking to the provost designate, Ian Balcom, who will be approved by the BOB, I think in March, about his agenda and the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences search. It's been very interesting. There was no search committee for the provost appointment, which is the highest ranking, academic officer at UVA, below only the president, I suppose. But there will be a search for the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, which is where Provost Designate Ian Balcom came from. So I will keep you updated on that conversation and that search.
Great, thank you, Abel. Someone just let me know if you hear any echoing right now. But first things first is our attendance code. So I think Gabby just dropped the link in the chat for y'all to click on, and the password for today is in honor of Black Panther Fred Hampton, because this is Black History Month, and so we're talking about Black history. And he is one of my role models. So password Hampton, thank you. All right, next week, hybrid meetings for STUDCO start back up. We'll be back in the Newcomb South meeting room. Oh my God, I'm so bad at Zoom. Okay, we'll be back in the Newcomb South meeting room, but it'll be a hybrid meeting. So we'll still have that Zoom facet to the meeting for people who are either sick or uncomfortable or just can't make it in person, with our live stream switching from YouTube to Instagram. So look at out for that next week. I just wanted to give a quick plug to something that our marketing committee has asked that people do. If you have the password to the Canva and you've been making your own Canva designs, please just make sure that you're labeling your things and keeping things as organized as possible in the Canva, just to keep everything as organized, and the marketing team can sort through what their things are as easily as possible. Thank you for that. I just wanted to highlight that the transition to the next administration will be in mid-April. We don't have an actual date that the administrations will switch out yet, but mid-April there will be an inauguration ceremony. You all will get a fancy invite. That'll be very fun and nice. And yes, so to clarify, the election is the first week of March. Transition to the next administration will be mid-April. Along with that, please make sure that you are outlining your transition docs, and everyone should be talking about that in their branch meetings this week as well. So I just wanted to highlight a couple things I was doing this week. First things first is we had a capital campaign meeting, as we do most weekends, which have been really productive. We're talking about how we're going to interact with UVA advancement and getting materials together for them to present to donors. So getting together really the low income student experience here and how SAS meets those gaps. So thank you to everyone who's working on that team, including data science, and a lot of people from financial accessibility and whatnot. I also met with Dr. Corbett, who is a new hire in student affairs, who I've really enjoyed getting to know. So she is in charge of strategic planning, which is the committee Abel was just talking about. We have one committee appointment to her strategic planning committee, and that will be the student council vice president, which has been decided by her. So this year that'll be Abel, and then when we transition over, the next student council president will take that spot on that committee. We also talked about office space. I'm really excited to say that we'll be making some more money moves on the student council office space as of next week. Right now, all that we're doing is updating the lighting, but as of next week, we're going to be able to go ahead and push the button, pull the trigger. I don't know my metaphors on the rest of the office. So that's really exciting. And just a couple of things that were on our agenda for this week. We talked about kind of what Abel touched on in terms of the Odo SAS partnership, as well as beginning conversations on student leader stipends and student payments. So that's very exciting stuff. All right, Ryan, take it away.
Hey everyone, my name is Ryan. I'm the Vice President for Organizations. Just a few quick updates. So for appropriations funding round 1, the allocations were posted today. Here we've kind of shown like the rates that we fund each like dollar at. Basically, like to sum it up, it's kind of like a bracket system, and the more funding that a CIO receives, like generally like the lower their like overall rate is, just so that again we're like funding the small requests almost fully, and then as the CIO requests more, because we're a little stretched for funds, we kind of cut it down as they are approved for more. So in total there was $328,000 requested, $250,000 approved, and then we funded $181,000. So that's about 71% of what we approved. And kind of on a similar note, because basically CIOs now have until the end of the semester to access their funds instead of like a couple weeks after we post the allocations. We've also tweaked audits. So basically if a CIO gets an audit request and they haven't like, spent their allocation yet, we totally understand. We'll just have them like make a note about it on their form, and they can just fill it out whenever they spend the money. And that'll also be detailed like in the audit requests. The next thing for appropriations funding round 2 is just that the requests are due on @UVA tonight at 11:59 p.m. And we'll have that round finished up before an allocation's posted before spring break. And then last thing is with OrgRec. So I was able to have a meeting with the new student engagement program coordinator, and we're kind of just finishing up on kind of like working out some of our processes to make it a little more smooth for this semester. So we'll have the first org bill coming out definitely in the week after spring break, and possibly in 2 weeks if there are some applications that are good and don't really need any revisions. And last thing is CIO applications are due on the 28th on @UVA.
Wait, actually, sorry, I actually do have a quick update. The slide just didn't edit in time. I meant to send everybody the updated budget, and I sent it in the chat, and I will send it again. But I will make sure to send that to everybody through like via email after GenBot as well.
All right, hi everyone. Actually, I have a couple things today. The first here is that the Safety and Wellness Agency, along with Student Health, are co-hosting a series of fourth-year healthcare transition seminars. But the first one is tomorrow on Zoom at 6 p.m. It will be featuring Kelly Gildersleeve of Billing and Insurance Management at Student Health. So she will be very knowledgeable, very helpful. If you're graduating and you're not on your parents' insurance anymore, or you're not really sure even what I'm talking about there, I recommend going. It should be really, really valuable. And if you can't go, there will be more. The follow-up on Crumbs. Someone had a community concern last week that Crumbs wasn't there. I also miss her. Tragically, she will not be coming back at least until after the 22-23 academic year. They don't know what they're doing with that space yet, but there won't be anything in there until through this year and next academic year, which is really sad. So sorry that that's not more exciting news, but I figured you should know. What else? Safety committee meeting summary. We talked, let me make sure I get this information right. They hired consultants to see how they could safely put buses back on. They're not happy updates besides the transition seminar and the student life director position. Sorry, y'all. But they're not putting buses back on McCormick Road because the consultant said that there was no way to do it safely and efficiently in order to get those bus routes to stay on time. However, be on the lookout for possible sidewalk railings between Thornton and Clark so that people don't go like in the road anymore. And TBD on when that would be. But that's an update from P&T. Ava Prohl, she's going to be our new student life director. There's a bill up to appoint her. Please vote her in. She's wonderful. She's a second year who has been on student life since her first year. I've worked with her on Office 365 stuff. She's wonderful. So please, please, please let her be my student life director. She's great. And then finally, during that safety committee meeting, one of the UPD officers let us know that on March 11th, which is the Friday of spring break week, but if you're here, just a heads up, that 8 to 1 in Maury, UPD will be doing an active threat training in Maury. They'll have the area roped off, but if you see like a lot of officers with a lot of equipment gear going in and out of that building, don't freak out. They're doing a training thing and it's scheduled. So heads up and avoid the area if you would like to as a warning there. That's all for me. Thank you guys.
Hi, everybody. My name is Adrian Mamrell. I'm the Chief of Support and Access Services. I use he, him pronouns. First things first, just wanted to reiterate that Abel and I are working on a SAS Student Affairs proposal for integrating SAS permanently in it so that we can also provide quality services as it ties to our capital campaign and the continuation of the SAS branch into the future. Also, I'd like to thank Riley for doing wonderful in running the rollout for the spring 2022 service of the Textbook Access Office. Thank you to everybody who's also used our service, and we'll be sending out a feedback form soon. Also, if you have not yet collected your books, please go to the Student Activity Center, which is on the first floor of Newcomb, and it's at the back portion. There should be signs headed to the bookshelf where the textbooks are located. Next thing is Mutual Aid. Mutual Aid has an event this coming Saturday with Flux on writing political poetry. It'll be on Saturday, Feb 19 at 8 p.m. in Brooks Hall. So please come along if you don't have any other plans. It'll be really fun and exciting. And lastly, Airbus will be running a 2022 spring break service. The ticketing website is now available. Check the Instagram link tree or the website for the Eventbrite, where you can buy the tickets for these bus services on March 4th. March 5th, and a return service on March 13th. They'll be going to 3 different airports in Dulles, Richmond, and for the first time, Charlottesville. So we hope to see the service be successful so that we can evaluate whether or not we'll continue return services or services even to Charlottesville Airport. That's all of my updates. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Booker. I'm a third year. I am the Director of Coalition Engagement. I use he, him, his pronouns. And I also just have like one quick update, and that's just to be on the lookout for an upcoming town hall involving SIO funding issues. And that's everything I have. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amit. I'm Director of University Relations, and I have very typical updates. First, the next newsletter will be coming out on February 24th, next Thursday. And if you're following us on social media, you see we have a few posts highlighting some events. Holly mentioned the Healthcare Transition Seminar. There's also Disability Awareness Week starting in the last week of February. And we'll be advertising every single event on our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And also today, a summer advising survey went up. So if you go to our link tree or you look at our recent posts, you'll be able to see some of those.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Adrian, if you wouldn't mind dropping the Airbus ticket link in the chat, I think that could be really helpful. Cece, we can see your screen. Yeah, no problem. I was not sure where she was going. Also, I mentioned that Holly Sims is a leader within HRL. I wasn't sure if it was public knowledge yet or not, but I just saw the Cap Daily article making an announcement, and I think we should all congratulate Holly because she's going to be one of the new co-chairs of HRL. So very proud that one of our own will take the mindset and philosophy of bargaining to HRL, because Lord knows they need it. But congratulations, Holly. I think you're going to do a truly fantastic job. All right. Okay, don't congratulate Holly. Ask her to spend time with you on a one-on-one basis. That's what she really wants. Okay, so we'll now transition to any leadership updates. We don't have an in-depth spotlight tonight, but if there's anybody from the cabinet, org branch, or admin who wants to share an update, please go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll call on you. But if not, Gabby, I'm not sure if any reps have any updates this evening. Okay, so it looks like we do not have any updates in the works. We also don't have any public comments, even though I plugged it in the newsletter on our $180,000+ budget, but that's all right. We have a responsible philosophy for how we're spending our student fees, no questions asked. But let's move on then, I guess, to legislative session, and we'll return to our regularly scheduled spotlights, leadership spotlights next week as we transition back to in-person meetings too. And then for your information, CC, I got close to 60 responses for my one-on-one lunch offer to the whole school. Community concern answer, there will be a vegetarian option. There will also be a non-vegetarian option. Okay, go ahead, Gabby.
Thank you. Okay, we will now enter legislative session. I'll begin by calling roll. When I call your name, please raise your hand. Violet Cadet. Nina Santana. Thank you. Lillian Rojas. Okay. Thank you, Lillian. Laura Arif. Thank you. Tyler Bush. Thank you. Landon Hobbs. Thank you. Carl Osius. Thank you. Tashar Robertson. Thank you. Christian Ephraim. Thank you. Ella Tinch. Jay Moody. Thank you. Rathika Kormath Anad. Thank you. Rand Perry. Jason Evans. Thank you. Isa Fortuno. Elizabeth Cruz. Thank you. Rafael Movsesian. Thank you. Spome Anwar. Christopher Joseph. Princess Alubishe Omasore. Hongjia Yang. Thank you. Andreas Masiakos. Thank you. And Katie Cruz. Thank you. The roll has been called. I'll now entertain the minutes from last week's general body meeting. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the minutes? I would look favorably upon a motion to vote. Jay,
Motion to vote.
thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any objections? If you have an objection, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the minutes pass. I would now look favorably upon a motion to take SB 22-02 off the table. Jason,
Motion to take SB 22 dash, what is it? I'm sorry.
02.
02 off the table.
Thank you. Jay,
Seconded.
thank you. Are there any objections? If you have an objection, please raise your hand. Seeing no objections, SB 22-02 is moved off the table. I will now entertain SB 22-02, a bill to approve the 2022 spring budget as presented by the Director of Finance, and I'll entertain Cece to speak on this legislation.
Hi all. So because this is the third week the budget is up, I'll keep it sweet and short again. But I just want to reiterate that I'm really proud of this budget and all of the work that people put into it. I'm really excited about some of the things that people added last week and that reps were really engaging with the budget. I know we use the word unprecedented a lot, but genuinely, this is a whole new kind of philosophy of spending for student council this year. And for Cap Daily, thank you. And we've passed over $450,000 worth in funding this year. So that is including this budget. So that is a really big deal. I think that this leadership team and rep body has had a huge impact on the student body, and the way that we're spending really does kind of change the way that I think student councils will be able to fund things in the future. So I want to yield the rest of my time to Abel in case he has anything to say about our historic budget.
I have no further comment on the budget beyond what I mentioned last week, which I will note was highly quotable. If any reporters are looking for quotes. But the one new thing I'll mention is that Cece, Jaden, and Ryan Chizikowski, as well as myself, reviewed the budget with Interim Dean of Students Julie Caruccio last week, and there were a few items that were called into question. So because we keep introducing increasingly spicy budgets to the Student Activities Committee, that does make it possible that not all of the budget will go through. So if there's anything you feel particularly strongly about keeping in the budget, I definitely encourage you all, as the rep body, to maybe write some sort of statement or note to the Student Activities Committee so they know that exec is not the only group pushing extraordinary uses of the student activities fee, and it's supported broadly by you all as well. All right, that's it.
Thank you, CC and Abel. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns regarding this bill? Seeing none, I would look favorably upon a motion to vote. Jason?
Motion to vote.
Thank you. Jay?
Second.
Thank you. We will now vote. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Please put your hands down. And all of those opposed, please raise your hands. All those abstaining, please raise your hands. Thank you. SB 22-02 passes. I will now entertain SB 22-03, a bill to approve an appointment to the President's Cabinet, and I'll entertain Abel to speak on this legislation.
Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Gabby. As Holly mentioned earlier, Ava is a highly qualified appointment candidate for the Student Life Agency. We're very excited to have her step up and take on that director spot after it has been something of a hot potato in our leadership docket throughout this year, in a really good way. It's just a complicated portfolio of tasks under Student Life, and everyone in Student Life is so talented that we have to pull them up to exec or move them around. So Ava, thank you for taking on the job, and reps, please approve the appointment.
Thank you, Abel. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns regarding this bill? Seeing none, I would look favorably upon a motion to vote. Jason?
Motion to vote.
Thank you. Jay?
Second.
Thank you. We will now vote. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Please put your hands down. All those opposed, please raise your hands. And all those abstaining. Thank you. SB 22-03 passes. I will now read the vote count. SB 22-02 passes with 14 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention. SB 22-03 passes with 14 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention. And we will now exit legislative session.
Okay, thank you very much, Gabby. We'll now move into the